Welcome to another episode of the Ballinesian podcast, sponsored by Livasa Island Apparel, www.livasaislandapparel.com. Someone's talking about sports. Welcome. I am Lance. This is Forrest. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. I was about to do my surf action thing, but I figured camera's not gonna see you, so would have been wasted. But they've also ride the wave, baby.
Yeah, nice.
I've been good, man. I've got the couple of days off, so get back to work tomorrow. The weather is starting to weather. It's starting to be the PNW,
It's
in
65 degrees today down here.
65 degrees. We're getting cloudy days mixed in with the sun every
I
now
like
and
it.
then. So it is the PNW. If you guys
Sorry.
don't live in the PNW, yeah.
We started watching Halloween movies today.
You know what? I was just about to watch. For me, Harry Potter goes Halloween, Christmas, Thanksgiving. I could go, you know what I mean, or Thanksgiving, Christmas. Sorry. So I could. Yeah. I watched Sorcerer's Stone last night. I fell asleep to that. So.
Oh, nice. We're watching that right now, just before
Oh,
this.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You're a wizard, Harry. Yeah.
what? So Halloween, of course, John Carpenter, great classic. But where do you rate Rob Zombie's Halloween in that genre?
I am unfamiliar.
Oh, you gotta watch it because it starts with him as a kid,
Mhm.
and then it explores to why he became like Mike Myers of of late. Uh, it also has like rock because if you watch like what is the devil's what is
Satan,
the
Lucifer,
he has a movie called The Devil something. He's in that movie, but like in House of a Thousand
Apprentice.
Corpses. So it's pretty gory, but that one, like the gore,
Oh,
just
gory. Yeah.
matched like
Okay.
it just matched like his. It was pretty good. So you should definitely watch it.
Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Rob Zombie's Halloween.
All right, put it on the list. Probably not with the kid.
Probably
Okay.
not. Probably not.
Yeah, week 2 finished up in the NFL. We had a bunch more injuries. We had a bunch more storylines.
Man, injuries are crazy, man. My brother-in-law's bench right now in uh in fantasy is good with a whole bunch of starters and mixed in with like top tier bench guys. Like
Yeah.
receivers are taking a hit right now. Cup's out,
Oh,
Brown's out, Deebo's out for a little bit. And extended time. These guys aren't out for like 1 or 2 games. Those are big names that'll be out multiple games right now.
a lot of
Uh,
them to IR, to injured
right.
reserve.
Addison, Addison might be back this week. Jordan Addison, I don't know. That would make Minnesota pretty dangerous as we see Sam Darnold pick it up a little bit. He's on a little bit of a roll, so
Mhm.
that would definitely help Minnesota. Who's are they 2-0 now?
Yeah, Minnesota's 2-0. There's a bunch of
Yeah,
2-0 teams that you wouldn't expect.
right.
Saints
Uh,
are up there.
Patriots.
Patriots are 2-0. Wait, no, they
Patriots are
lost to
2-0.
the Seahawks
Did they? I thought they
in
were 2-0.
overtime. Yeah.
Oh,
Another person that went into the injured reserve, Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa.
yeah, that's the big one right
Yeah.
now. It's not just fantasy worries. It's health wise. Like if you're a fan of Tua, you definitely don't want to see him quit, but at the same time, you don't want to see him get permanently injured. It's a brain injury, a head
Your leg.
injury. It could just those things are scary. Plus, we saw him. We know of 4 concussions that he had for sure. One in college, 3 in the NFL.
He had one in
But
college too.
that one in college. That one in college. I think the worst one was last year when he had to be carted off, and
Two
the
years
reports
ago.
were too because he got hurt probably like was it a play before he went down? I think he got hurt a play before he went down, and then and then he went down and got carted off. So, you know, there's a lot of things that we don't know that have been happening with him. Could be more concussions that weren't reported, or maybe he didn't know it was a concussion. So it's
Yeah,
pretty scary.
Junior Seau never had a reported concussion.
And that's
As
sad.
And that's like, yeah, we also know that he got banged up pretty bad. Tagovailoa on injured reserve is going to be sidelined for at least 4 games. According to the AP, he'll be eligible to return in week 8 when the
8.
Dolphins host Arizona. But you got to complete the whole concussion. You got to go through concussion protocol. You got to pass all these tests. There's also word that he's going to like outside of the network, like neurologists, and getting more information from like brain doctors, head doctors, on his specific situation, because apparently like the effects of concussions compound the more concussions you have.
Yeah.
And especially Tua's are very high visibility concussions, because he enters that fencing posture where like his
Right.
he gets
Conscious.
knocked unconscious and his
Gets
arms
stiff.
just go up in like a defensive kind of
Right.
uh so that is supposedly indicative of a very bad concussion. Like, and if you're having multiple bad ones, then it can start to get scary. So hopefully they give him the information and it's like a good outlook. Currently, he says there's no, I'm not retiring, no plan to retire. But a lot of people have already said, it's a lot, especially publicly, and knowing that there's a bunch of hits and injuries that probably
Yeah.
don't get reported. So Raiders coach Antonio Pierce came out and said, it was one of the voices that said Tua should retire. What are your thoughts on Tua's retirement, or what he should do?
Uh, it's tough to like to tell someone not to do something that they've been doing their whole life that they love doing, you know.
Yeah.
And for him, he, we can never compare ourselves to it because we didn't play college ball like that, college football. We didn't play college or NFL football. So like his level of playing is different, and his dedication to that goes beyond what we've done in like football. So, but we do play sports. We play sports in school, outside of school, and we know that if someone told me that I couldn't play ball no more, like basketball, like when I was younger, or baseball, that would have killed me, and I would have definitely took every
Ah.
avenue to try and play. It is different. It is different. But you watch football, and I love football. When I was playing,
Mhm.
also I wasn't great in high school, but again, if someone told me that I couldn't play, like I would definitely look for every avenue to make sure that there was definite answer that I couldn't play. And I think that's what he's doing now. But I also think that a lot of people think, oh, he's so stubborn, he just doesn't want to quit. It's not that he's just stubborn. It's you know, obviously the injuries are horrible because we've seen them firsthand. Like it's happened on camera. It's not like
Yeah, yeah.
we haven't seen the thing. Like we can't be like, oh well, I don't know how severe, the severity of the injury. No, we do because we've seen them on camera. But that's just his competitive spirit. Again, something he's done his whole life, and you're about to tell him that he's just got to quit all of a sudden. I mean, he's gonna go and explore everything he can, talk to every doctor, just make sure that the definite answer is no. And I think he ends up retiring if that is the answer, because like Antonio Pierce said, and um, Mike McDaniel said, he's the MVP of his family, and that should be the number one priority. He's got 2 daughters now, uh, a wife, just made his money. He should be able to retire comfortably.
Ooh, the
So
money. The
the
money
money,
just signed a big $200
right,
million contract.
right,
There's got to be pressure. I feel like there's pressure to like,
for
oh, I
sure.
got to show that I'm worth it. I got to show I'm like one of these elite quarterbacks.
And a lot of people are like, well, it's guaranteed. Yeah, okay. Again, that's not the type of person he is. If you speak to the type of person he is, he's gonna want to get back, not just to like the organization that's been treating him well, to the coach, like the coach that he's found now that's giving him confidence back, his
Nice. Yep. Yep.
teammates, also to the fans. He's even though he's hearing a lot of these fans, a lot of people close to him telling him to just, you know, maybe hang it up. He still has that feeling of, like you said, dedication, loyalty to them. Just and that makes it a lot more tougher for him. Compiled onto all the things we just said about him, just that's been his whole life, you know. So to tell him that he can't do it no more.
Yeah, I know. So football is a tool, right? That people can use to advance themselves. But you end up paying the price, right? You sacrifice your body, and sometimes you sacrifice your brain, especially with like all the CTE and the concussions and how serious that is. And the more data is being recorded, and we're also seeing more results. We're seeing guys that used to put their heads into people's chests for a living every week, now 20 years after their career, dying at 40.
Right.
We're seeing guys like not
Their
able
qual-
to.
yeah, the quality of life that they're living now is not great.
Yeah, some of them, and it's weird because it's like, okay, some defenders, some of the hardest hitters are fine. Troy Polamalu in the Head and Shoulders commercials with Patrick Mahomes looks like he's all the way with it, right? Other guys that maybe haven't hit as hard, they look like a lot worse, like suffering certain issues or illnesses that go back and relate to repeatedly slamming your head against
Right. So
another person.
I talking to my brother-in-law, Yawalui, about all this stuff because he's a head football coach for a youth team in Hawaii. Real good youth ball, the Ever Beach Beast, the Ever Beast. So
Hey,
we were
Evo
talking about
Beast.
it. Yeah, we were talking about it, and he was saying like right now, like back then we didn't know, so hard to talk to the guys who are older right now that have like CTE or are suffering now from long term head injuries, you
Yeah,
know, or long term effects of the head injuries. But now, like you have the opportunity, like you have like Guardian caps, of course, different helmets now. Like Tua has a whole special helmet made uh to help alleviate with those kind of problems.
yeah,
But they're now teaching different ways to tackle. So like I said, guys that are older now, it's a little harder to teach them, but they can still learn. But guys that are coming up now, they're being taught to tackle, not lead with their crown.
yeah,
Don't put your head down, you know,
yeah.
fall a certain way.
Targeting.
Yeah. So like you just said, we talked about guys that are like in their 40s or even older showing effects of like CTE.
Mhm.
Maybe haven't gone get checked yet. Maybe they don't know the real diagnosis. But either way, they're still suffering from headaches or like
Yeah,
insomnia.
and
Just
we see that quality of life. We see like there are issues, and like then you start to think, but it feels low key random because sometimes it happens, sometimes it's not. But
true.
it's just like you gotta protect yourself as much as possible from that, not just from defenders and guarding the ball, but long term, what's your life going to look like
Right.
after football? Because you're not playing football at 50 years old, 40, 50 years old,
Right.
maybe in your 30s if you're really good. But all these guys use football to enrich themselves and their families, their communities, right? And we only get them for like 3 to 10 years if
At
they're really
maybe at
good,
that. Yeah.
right? We only
Yeah.
get them for a couple of years. So there's life after. How do you set yourself up for the best position to do that? Because we love football. That's another thing. I love American
Yes.
football, bro.
I love American football.
And I was talking to Sammy about this yesterday. I was like, we purposefully put away and do not think about the injuries that are going to stay with these football players, and not and like it's like repeated pressure, punching. It's like boxing. Like you
Right.
might you take 1,000 punches to the face every week after 40
Something's gonna happen.
years.
Something's
Muhammad
something's
Ali,
gonna be wrong.
Muhammad Ali towards the end of his life, yeah, he was older, but also you saw the effects of like that repeated
Yeah.
head trauma. And we don't want that for Tua. He's just signed a big contract. I know it's at 163 million guaranteed, but I think for injury it's like 90 million guaranteed plus some signing bonuses.
That's it.
Great.
That's a
That's
lot.
amazing.
That's a lot.
Especially if you can walk away with that, that's cool. But I know
Yeah.
like you said, the competitor, the fire, the long time preparation for these moments, Tua's going to want to stay in there. He's that guy that's like, nah, I mean, like you said, loves football and
Yeah,
loves to play football and will have to be freaking strapped down or else he's going to try to get back in there and play. So
yeah. And another
hopefully
thing
Tua gets
is
some
like,
good news and he can
yeah,
get back
and
out there in week
he's
8.
just found his love for football again after being
Oh,
under
yep,
Brian Flores and all the
yep.
stories that he just tore him down, and then to play for the coach he has now, Mike McDaniel, who built him back up, and we're starting to have fun again.
Mm.
So you definitely, I don't. That's hard to let go. So, but just as you said again, we pray for him. Hopefully, the decision is something that won't lead him to you know, like you said, Muhammad Ali, but closer to home, Junior Seau. You know, we saw how that
Yeah,
played out. It wasn't great.
yeah.
So
The Dolphins after week 1 were a 33% favorite or a 33% chance to win the AFC East.
and now they are.
Now, after the Tua injury, they're down to 4% chance. I mean, they have Skylar Thompson as the backup. They signed Tyler Huntley away from the Ravens practice squad, and they also have, I think, one of the Jets' old backup quarterbacks.
Mm,
It's not going to be as good as Tua. Tua's accurate. He's also knows the system a lot better than any of these guys. So there's going to be a fall off there, but hopefully he can come back in week 8.
definitely.
All right. Moving on to some results in week 2. The Chargers traveled to Carolina and beat Bryce Young and the Panthers 26-3.
You're proud
Uh,
of that?
yo, I was talking to Sefa about Derek Carr going off in week 1, and I was like, yeah, he's just bullying the Panthers, not knowing that we had the Panthers in week 2. And I was like, oh, it's just going to continue. So much so, though, that Bryce Young lost his job. He's been benched, and Andy Dalton will be starting for him. But that's not our fault. Okay. We just went in there and played a game that we planned to play. And things went really good. It was fun. Held them to 159 yards. Bryce Young, look, 18 to 26. I'm looking at the completion rates there. That's not great. That's not bad. What is that? 70%?
Are you
84
saying all
yards
this?
though.
Are you saying all this to make yourself feel better as
I'd
a
say,
fan of a team that went in and ruined a young man's career?
hey, it's up to him to play at a professional level. He has not been doing that. Bryce Young be looking lost, but he only threw for 84 yards on 26 passes. No touchdowns, a pick, got sacked a bunch. 6.4 QBR out of 100. 6.4.
Yeah, man.
Uh,
Somebody's plotting against him. That's what it is.
I really hope he gets traded away or he, I don't know, sits behind Andy Dalton and learns. That's so crazy to be benched in your second year as the number 1 overall pick.
I mean, yeah, it is. I think it's more crazy because he's not like off the field. He's not like, we've seen guys who have come in high draft picks, be shitty off field and then get benched, be shitty on
Oh,
field
yeah,
and
yeah,
off
yeah.
field and
Yeah.
then come and get benched. And then we're
It's
like,
easier to hate them.
that's
Yeah, piece
yeah,
of shit.
yeah, you should have been
Thought this was
benched.
easy. Yeah.
Right, exactly. But now, like Bryce Young is one of those guys he's not very we don't see him a lot, off field doing crazy shit. Or you don't hear stories about him like you do. We have other quarterbacks who have been top picks and got benched. Ryan Leaf, Chargers. Yeah. So I mean,
Marcus Russell, Raiders.
hey, we didn't hear anything off the field. He's just really shitty on the
He just didn't watch tape.
field. Right. Just didn't watch film and got caught. But yeah, I mean, I think that's why a lot of it is like most of us are just like, oh my gosh, like also
Because
because
he's a likable guy.
he's very likable, but also
Yeah.
because the change came when Canales said right after the game that was their quarterback, and then the very next day it came. I'm pretty sure it came down
Oh.
from ownership,
Tepper from
which
David Tepper. Shitty
which
David
is
Tepper.
which is even worse because he's the one that wanted Canales to draft him over Stroud.
Well, I
You
mean,
know,
no, Canales just got there. Last year it was the quarterback coach Frank something.
Frank Reich.
Frank
That's
Wright.
cool. Well,
Yeah.
okay.
And then fired. The Panthers have had
And then
6
yeah,
coaches in 7 years. That's ridiculous. So at first I was like, this makes no sense. They're benching him, but it's not like Dave Canales is on the hot seat. He just got there. They
he
just
just got there. He
committed to
can't.
him.
Yeah,
But they do fire their coaches quickly in
they do.
Carolina. They have a very
They
recent
do.
history of that. So I mean, Matt Rule, Frank
He went
Wright,
quick. Frank Reich.
a bunch of guys. So I mean, hopefully Dave Canales, shout out Carson High School,
Hey,
can but that means that they're going over the coach, because if the coach is like, hey, Bryce Young had a bad first two games, but he's still our quarterback. I believe in him. We trust him to lead this team. He's the best that we got. To that very week, Bryce Young is out. He's on the bench. I mean, and for confidence, that's super sad.
That's shitty.
Yeah,
I mean, the statements are too that him and his camp were just like super surprised by the move.
I bet. Oh,
Especially him, because like you said, as a head coach, you're probably in there after that game, trying to build them up a little bit. Like, dude,
yeah.
you're okay. It's the second game of the season. We got you.
What are we gonna do? Start Andy Dalton? Come
right?
on, you got this, bro.
And then the very next day, hey, dude, sorry to tell you, but you're gonna be sitting the next game. You're gonna start Andy Dalton.
That's
But you're
crazy.
still great. But you're still great.
Do you think he comes back and starts another game this year, or
I do.
traded away?
I do. I think if they get like if Andy Dalton comes in and doesn't win any games like he's supposed to, or he does like worse or just average, why
Andy
would you not
Dalton,
start him again?
if he
Like,
does Andy Dalton like?
right? If he becomes Andy Dalton, like, why would you not start the kid that you drafted and like figure it out? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Or I mean, start working on a trade. Find somebody that's like Bryce Young is the guy that can unlock our offense. We just need a
All
little
right, so
bit.
yeah, we're definitely gonna talk about that right after this. But like, look, a lot of people are saying he's broken, and I don't want to say that, but he does look a little lost out there, and
Yeah.
that's because he was forced to play. Tom Brady has said it before, like a lot of these guys, offenses, and I said it in our chat, like they really need to dumb down the offense for him, simplify it a little bit, like run plays where he got guys like open, even if it's like 4 yards down the field. You need to start getting him making completions, but you can't do that without a valid running game, which they don't have either. So,
Chuba Hubbard,
right,
Jonathan Brooks still injured.
Jonathan Brooks, they can't do that. So the confidence is something he's really gonna have. Like you saw it with Tua, work for Tua. You saw it firsthand in game yesterday with or on Sunday with Max Crosby and Gardner Minshew. Just getting a nod of like okay from your guys, like you're really getting back. It works. It works wonders. And people are speaking of the play where Young didn't step up into the pocket. Instead, he rolled backwards into a sack, but had Thielen down the field wide open. And when he couldn't make the pass, you see Thielen just jumping up and down, just frustrated. So
Yeah.
that speaks a lot to like I guess like veterans in there. Like if you lose the locker room as a quarterback, that's tough. You know, it's as they say the term, a show of no confidence in you. So it's hard for guys to play for you if they don't believe that you're going to do the job. And then, so now that you speak of trades, that offhand would probably be the best for him at this moment, is a change of scenery somewhere where guys are going to actually believe in him, build him up, just show him show him love. And maybe he can go somewhere he can sit
He needs a good situation. He needs a
right.
better situation. The Panthers with their shitty offense is not helping him at all.
Definitely.
It's making it difficult for him to shine. It's making him look bad.
It's not even just their offense. They lost Derek Brown, their last defensive player that probably makes any kind of noise during the season. Their corners aren't that great at the moment. JC Horn's always getting hurt. They lost Brian Burns. Linebackers are horrible. They lost the best linebacker they could have ever had, who went to the Commanders, Frankie Lou. So
we should have won that game. We better have won that game. I picked them in the survivor pool. I was like, the Chargers are going to beat the Panthers. Actually, I'm just going to follow the Panthers around for the first like 10 weeks of the survivor pool. Just pick whoever they're playing. Uh, the other quarterback in that game, Justin Herbert, 14 of 20, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick and a lost fumble. So we have as many turnovers as we do touchdowns, but
I think
he's
he's another
managing.
quarterback
Wait,
that needs to change the senior.
no, he's managing the game and getting the wins. Just like let the run game grind down this offense and just do enough to keep the ball moving.
Man, you know the
But
uniform, he would look great. He would look amazing in the Miami uniform. Man,
man, stop trying to put Tua out of a job. Let Justin Herbert stay in Los Angeles.
I'm trying to put Tua in safety. That's what I'm trying to do.
You want Tua to retire?
I do. I do. I do.
Justin Herbert also got rolled up on and had to go into the medical tent. Ankle injury. They did X-rays. Harbaugh says that it's going to be okay. He gave like a good update, but
nice.
Also the run game though. Talking about that run game.
J.K. Dobbins real?
Yep.
Is he real?
Whoa. I don't know if he's real or if
what?
He's like
After 2 games. Come on.
After back-to-back games, it's cool. It's
you
encouraging
guys
to see.
Beat the best team in the NFL the first game.
Right, and then the worst team in the NFL. Yeah, so it's like middle. We're middle of the pack right now in our wins.
Okay.
But like, I mean, and then I think next week we got the Steelers, so it's like you're kind of expected to win these games. But then you got the Chiefs. I think that it's the Chiefs at home at SoFi.
Bro, you expect to beat Boswell? There's no way. Boswell is averaging like 20 points a game right now.
I think we can outscore Boswell. I'm hoping we can outscore Steelers kicker Chris Boswell. That run game, J.K. Dobbins, 17 carries, 131 yards, and a touchdown. That's pretty good. J.K. Dobbins leads the league right now in rush yards and freaking like average.
Just in case for you folks who are like, man, J.K. Dobbins even like that. No, he was like that with the Ravens. He was.
Just got injured.
He just got injured multiple times. He was like that at Ohio State. If you follow J.K. Dobbins coming out from Ohio State, J.K. Dobbins was doing that at Ohio State too. So just in case you guys are like, man, he was never like that. Or, who the hell is J.K. Dobbins? No, he's like that.
It's like so an interesting that happened in week 2 is Gus Edwards wasn't the lead back. It was J.K. Dobbins that was the lead back. And at first you think, okay, you got the power guy and Gus Edwards, go ahead, deal those body blows to the defense, run it up the middle 3, 4, 5 yards at a time, and then bring J.K. Dobbins in for those stretches, hit the outside zone, hit the corner, like get all the way upfield. And also passing downs. His J.K. Dobbins passing hasn't been there. It's just been these wide open 20, 40-yard runs, 50-yard touchdown he had. So I'm encouraged by it because holy smack. Okay, we're going to be a running team and it's going to be a 20-point win. I am comfortable with that. It's boring, but I am fine with it if that's going to be how we win games. Just run it down. It's down
a running game. It's a running game with the improved defense. So that's why it's working right now.
The defense is
Chargers defense. They look like they came into the season really trying to prove a point, like the offensive line should be doing. But defense for sure came out like damn sure they heard everybody talking about how weak their D line was last year. Kenneth Murray, just everybody was speculating of whether they should have picked somebody else instead because they had a chance to pick Pat Queen instead of him. But they showed up these first 2 games. Like you said, as a Chargers fan, I know you don't want to be too optimistic, but it's hard not to smile seeing them play. And they're 2-0 right now, just under a really great coach in Jim Harbaugh. You guys got a coach now who is producing results, so
immediately at the gate. That's amazing. Right. Gus Edwards, more carries than J.K. Dobbins, but less yards, 18 carries for 59. But I think that's just the nature of his carries. He's getting more up the middle. It's a lot.
I think they work together well, like you're saying. Lightning and
lightning, yeah.
Yeah, Gus Edwards is really going to tire you down the defensive line because you have him just running into you the whole game, trying to tackle him all game, all first half, or in between J.K. Dobbins runs. And then you bring in Dobbins, who's an underrated pass catcher out of the backfield because he was a pretty good pass catcher out of the backfield at Ohio State too. So, and he's got that home run ability. Once he gets the ball
Like it.
out from the backfield, he can make people miss. So, yeah,
I hope the J.K. Dobbins thing continues, but also I think it's time to trade J.K. Dobbins in fantasy if you have him. I think it might be before the crash happens. Maybe keep him and see
he's
how
hot
he
right
does
now.
against the Steelers.
He's hot
But
right now.
I think something I learned is like don't trade for people the week that they have a huge game. They have
Right,
130
right.
yards.
What?
If you score 20 points, if someone scored 20 points, don't trade for them. It is not the time. You need to trade for them only when they're coming off a bad week because one, their value is at an all-time high. You're going to pay more.
Yeah, you're
Two,
gonna pay
the
more.
person that just got 22 points from freaking
Got their use out of
J.K.
him
Dobbins,
already.
nah, they're like, what if he puts up 22 points every week? This could be a league winner. I got him for free. I got him off the waiver wire. I don't want to be stupid. I'm a genius. Let me keep him. He's going to fall off a cliff, right? Because one, it's just not sustainable. You're splitting carries with somebody else. You have an injury history. I'm just trying to protect myself in
You
my
also have a
mind.
quarterback who can throw the ball.
Right. It's not mandatory that the Chargers have to run. They have a
Right,
quarterback that can facilitate a passing game.
right.
But I mean, I'm seeing all these posts where they're showing J.K. Dobbins is having a historic 2-game start to the season. Anytime I hear historic, that means shit's going to come down to earth soon. So
But
it might be time to trade J.K. Dobbins. What's up, brother
hopefully,
Luke? Hit me up. Hit me up, Luke. J.K.
don't do it,
Dobbins
Luke.
J.K.
Don't
Dobbins
do
on the line.
it. Don't do it, Luke.
Uh, and I
Hopefully
want
when
top
people
dollar for J.K. Dobbins too. I
he
want.
said he said, give me Marvin Harrison.
Oh my goodness! Shout out to Marvin Harrison Jr. Shout out to everybody that has him and had him for 29 whatever points it was, all in the first quarter. That's crazy.
Hopefully when people read that statement, they first read 2 games before they read historic. It's only been two
Yeah,
games. It's only been 2 games.
but like you said, he was supposed to be a big play guy, and now that he's being a big play guy, I'm just like, well, JK, let's think about it. You know, you're injured a lot. You might. When were you drafted? When was J.K. Dobbins drafted? First round, second round?
I think he was a second round pick.
All right, some of that. So, yeah, two other things from the Chargers game that really surprised me. One, Quentin Johnston, 5 catches,
Two
59 yards,
touchdowns.
2 touchdowns. One, oh my goodness, one of the first touchdown was on their best DB. Was that J.C. Horn? But it
Doesn't
was
say
like
much. Doesn't
right,
say much.
Quentin Johnston up the sideline, like on the outside of the DB, and the ball was thrown on the inside. So he got in front of him and then cut back inside for like a diving catch, sliding into the end zone. It was
I think
sick.
he heard you. I think he heard you last week, man.
It was beautiful. Yo, yeah, you gotta hey, show out, dog. You're a big time player. You drafted first round,
He
21st
said
overall.
it might be time to give up on him.
Yeah, and then he was like, no, I still got it. That's cool, but you got to be consistent with it.
That's true.
Greatness is consistent goodness. You just always got to be there instead of these little blips. But that second one, he was wide open on a busted coverage. But yeah, that's the potential. Well, I mean, I guess it never was like at the point of the ball. I always thought his potential was more catch and run after catch, just get him on a slant, let him break away.
Right.
But however we can use them, and shout out to the Chargers for being able to do that. Another shout out to the Chargers for getting Washington's Elijah Molden at DB off of I don't know how we got this guy, but he's in the game making plays, got his interception last week over the middle. Used to work with Elijah's brother, Zay, downtown. He would always go up for like the Washington games and stuff, and he was always showing out. I'm pretty sure it was Washington, the Huskies. But yeah, this freaking he got drafted by Tennessee, freaking showed out for them. And now he's with the Chargers. I think they called him up because Alohi Gilman was injured this week. But yeah, that's a baller. I can totally see how that's a hard ball player, and he's going to give him 110%. A lot of people are going to be surprised, but Elijah Molden has always been a playmaker. It's going to be dope.
You guys just saw the big body that went past behind me. It's my niece, Love Lawson. Shout out to
Hey,
Love Lawson.
LLC.
She's gonna be in the next great NBA, WNBA show.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the Chargers. The Chargers move on to 2-0. They play the Steelers next week, who are also 2-0. The Panthers are 0-2, and they head to Las Vegas to
They
play the
do.
Raiders.
And you
Uh,
just said that greatness is consistently being good. You know, that's such a great statement to segue into the Raiders because
Wait,
yeah,
go,
it's not
go,
what you
go.
think. It's not
Make
what
it
you think.
happen.
It's gonna be
Make it
valid.
happen.
It's gonna be valid. Yo, Devontae Adams has been doing this for years. He was 9 targets, 12 targets for 9 catches, 110 yards, a touchdown, and probably one of the greatest toe tap catches you will ever see.
Toe
You
tap
will ever
tay.
see. Man, just and all of this came in the second half of the game. Devontae Adams again proving that he is in the conversation for the number one receiver in the league. If he's not the number one receiver in the league, he's definitely still top five. Doing his thing.
We
Goes to
talked
show
about
you.
we talked about that
He
last week. Devontae having a
right,
bad week and whether to keep him or
right,
try to ship him. Good call.
right. And like we said, yeah, keep him in because it's Devontae Adams. He's not gonna be bad for long if he is. Like if he has a bad game, he's definitely gonna come out the next game and he's gonna want to prove, especially to himself, like because he really thinks highly of himself in the NFL. Like he really thinks of him as still being, and I'm pretty sure most of the top receivers think of themselves that they're the receiver in the league. But Tay, he thinks himself like that since he got into the league, and he's proven. So he had a really great game for the Raiders, and just goes to show, like we were also talking about, like whether you keep Tay in because his quarterback is Minshew. Same thing
Mhm.
with Jay Jetta. We were like, well, you know what I mean? Sam Darnold, he's cool. Like we said, I like Sam Darnold, but is he really going to be able to get the ball to Jefferson? You know, just in a situation like that. Now with Tyreek Hill, same questions pop up now with them. But it just goes to show, like some of these receivers are just they're good. If you get the ball in their vicinity, they will be good.
Yep.
You know, if you're throwing at them, especially in volume, they'll make the plays that you need them to make. So, uh, and it's cool to have him have that game, but also to look into like on the other side of him, like in the slot or right on the line, and see Brock Bowers go 9 for 9 with 98 yards. You know what I
Nice,
mean?
nice, nice. Yep.
Just uh,
If one's
a
not
lot of
open, the other one's open.
right, and and then we saw Myers make a lot of good plays. He didn't have like tons of catches, but he had really good third down catches, that kept the Raiders playing. So he yeah, just the best part of that though also is to see Minshew be able to get the ball out to these guys. Had a tough first half, and like
Yeah.
he had the interception, and then he had Max Crosby come over as they're passing each other on the field, stop him, and just
Hey,
right,
we're gonna
I
get the ball
got you.
back for you.
That's exactly what he said. He said he's gonna get the ball back for you. We got you. Don't worry. Slapped him on the chest maybe a little too hard because I don't think Minshew was ready. Because
It's like some shit from a movie, man.
right, right. Like Minshew put up his hand that well, actually, sorry, Max put up his hand to dap him up, but I think Minshew was so shook up he kind of chest tapped
Which, oh,
Crosby too. Like it was like, oh yeah, okay, but you can
listen
tell,
here,
like
you little ass
right,
boy.
exactly.
I was like, why is he yelling at him like that? And Mitchell was like, okay, okay, yeah,
Right.
dog, yeah, yeah,
Oh, I
yeah,
got
dog,
it. Yeah,
cool,
I
thank
got it.
you.
And like
That
we
was
said,
funny.
we were just
It
talking about,
worked.
like if you have guys like that on your team, like really confident in like that, that makes so much of a difference. And we were talking about like just now Bryce Young losing the locker room. If there's one guy on the team that does that to Bryce Young, it might make the difference. It really does. As a coach, you see guys, I always try to pick out like one player on my team to be like the leader, so he can go to guys who are having like off days like that. He can pick them up. It
Nice.
work makes a ton of difference. But Minshew gets that top, goes back in, and has just an amazing game, man. He went. 3 for 38 the whole game, 276 yards. Did have the interception, but also had a touchdown. So he looked good. He looked good. And if this was like an overreaction Monday, he's the guy. He's the guy.
He's the guy that can lead
He's
us.
the guy. But we've seen him do it. He did it to the Raiders last year when he was playing for Indy. He's did it to multiple teams. Has done it to multiple teams when he was in Jacksonville. So yeah, Minshew's he's like he's a really high energy guy on the team. So if his energy's high, I think he's doing really good, especially with his confidence. And I know people are like, "Oh, that's for everybody." Yes, I know, but I think he works very much better when those things are very high for him. So, uh, and we're gonna need that a lot right now because the Raiders' running game is non-existent. They
Oh,
they let
yeah.
they let Josh Jacobs go, who's right now having an amazing season, amazing beginning to the season with the Packers. Good for him. Uh, good for him. But the guy that replaced him, Jameer White, had 9 carries, 24 yards. The next guy with the most yards after him was a receiver, DJ Turner, 1 carry for 2 yards.
Whoa.
Madison had 4 touches for 1 yard, but it was a touchdown. But it was a touchdown. So that's the running game in a nutshell. I think Minshew maybe had like a yard too.
Whoa. Madison
Uh,
is the goal line back? Or was that
I
like
think
a weird play?
no, it was a weird play, but he was in there. I think what they were trying to show was like maybe kind of like fake him
Pretend to
out
pass?
as to him pop out for a pass like in the flat, but he took it in for the run. So um, yeah, the running game is gonna need to at least be there to like in support of the passing game. The passing game is really where the Raiders are going to be good. And if you didn't come away watching that game thinking that the Raiders have a really good receiving core, because there were questions in the beginning of the season,
Yeah.
then I don't know what game you're watching because Brock Bowers does add just another dynamic to the offense, but
That's a big ass wide receiver. That's a
he is.
mismatch. That's
He
good.
is. But you also have Mike Merritt. He went,
Yep.
I think he went like 2 for 2 with like 40 yards, but he's there. Catches the ball, he's solid as a tight end. So you have those two guys. And then in the business of the game, I hate to say it, you're gonna keep Bowers, but now you have Mike Mayer as like trade bait, because there are gonna be some teams who need a tight end. But with them running 12 personnel, I think they're gonna want to keep both because just guys you can
Yeah,
get the
yeah.
ball to and count on catching the ball. But yeah, the running game, they're gonna have to do something. Uh, scheme wise, they are banged up on the O line right now. Colton Miller isn't the Colton Miller we've seen the last few years. I know he's coming off a pretty severe injury, but he's man, he doesn't look like the guy that everybody was talking about being top 5 tackle in the league
Stud
2 years
tackle.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Leave him on an island.
I think he's still hurt. I think the shoulder's still bothering him. So yeah, they did start Andres Pete over Cody Whitehair. Then they brought Whitehair back in, and the offense started moving. So I don't know. It's a little. We'll
Come
see.
on,
We'll see.
Raiders offense.
Right.
The
O
defense
line's got
has
a
got it working. Let's
defense. Max Crosby. Oh my gosh,
bro,
bro!
he almost set a record.
6 tackles, 6 tackles, 5 solo, 4 for loss, 2 sacks, and a pass breakup. That's crazy for one dude. Yeah, I'm biased, of course, but I do think he's the best defensive end in the league right now. Just man, his motor never dies. He plays every snap, and he's going hard every snap. There's no snap where you can look and be like, "No, I took that off." There's no because sometimes he's even outrunning the play, and that's how he misses tackles because he's going so hard. So
Oh, is that his
secondary,
weakness?
I think it is. I think sometimes he goes a little too hard and he'll pass
Mhm.
up the play. So
His weakness is that he is too strong.
right.
Yo, Max Crosby seems like he could bull rush the fuck out of anybody. Yeah,
Anybody.
man. That's
Anybody.
what a good find. 5th round pick, Max Crosby.
Eastern Michigan,
5th round.
5th
I
round.
hate when this happens for the Raiders.
And Wilkins though, Wilkins is worth every month. that they're paying him right now.
Nice,
He's
nice.
coming up big against the run. There's stuff in the middle. Spillane again, got him 2 years ago. He's proven that the
This
money they
guy.
spent on him, he's like Johnny on the spot all the time. The interception that he got was crazy.
He
He took it
just
out of that dude's hand.
you're just ready to do a blurb on every person on the Raiders roster. He got
Hey
it like
man,
that. He knows it like that. Okay, big thing. We might have buried the lead on this, but the Raiders beat the Baltimore Ravens 26-23, right? And the defense is a huge part of that because me and
they are.
Sammy both have Lamar Jackson in different leagues. And we were like on Sunday, what the hell is going on with Lamar Jackson? When's he going to score? I had to put in a message to the Forest like, hey, it's my birthday weekend. If you could make a call down to Vegas, down to Allegiant, and tell them to let him get a rushing score. I don't care if the Raiders win. I think he finished with like 14, 15 points. It was not a great
It was not
team,
something that that they were
it
talking
was
about.
because of the Raiders defense. What do you think was the key in being able to do something that, last year Lamar Jackson was the MVP and people can't figure out how to stop him? How did you guys contain Lamar Jackson?
Pressure,
Woof.
pressure, pressure. They were also sending like linebackers, but they got him there a couple times. Up the middle again. So Wilkins and Butler were up the middle. Just and the job that they did against not just Lamar Jackson in the first half, but against Derrick Henry in the first half was outstanding. Derrick Henry, yeah, I think he got like 80 yards. That's still to hold him to that, is crazy. But I think most of those yards came like on a really big run. But other than
Yeah,
that,
yep.
the D line was able to contain them really well. That speaks well to them because they're without Malcolm Kuntz. Their other starting defensive end, who's probably the better against the run on the ends. So, yeah, their linebackers were flying all over the place. Jack Jones, man, a couple of years ago we were talking about Jack Jones being a bust after the Patriots went on and drafted him. Had like off the field issues. He had issues with Belichick and just wasn't working out for him. Comes over, plays for brought over by a guy who's coached him since high school, in Antonio Pierce. Pierce becomes just like I think he's like a father figure to him, maybe, and he's just balling out. He's playing probably the best ball of his life right now, even though he's only been in the NFL like 3 years. He's it started with that interception last year, where he just kind of like who was that against last year? Remember the pick six that he
I
uh
forget. I'm focused on this
anyway.
season, 2-0. New era. Get your cats.
But well, my whole point is saying that you saw him make plays like that, and then you were just like, well, why didn't the Patriots play him? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on? And then now this season, he's really their lockdown corner, even though they have
Nice.
arguably one of the better slot corners and Hobbs there. But yeah, and then we saw Jacorian Bennett come up with a couple plays. He passed breakup to save like that series. So yeah, the containment of him was just the pressure that they put on him in the pocket, and then the DBs were showing up when they had to. Zay Flowers had some pretty good catches. He found Zay Flowers a couple times. I
Oh
know.
man,
Yeah.
I was wrong about that. I thought, well, we were talking about, he got 10 targets, but that was just because they were losing. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a tight game with the Raiders, but he ended up getting 9 catches and a
Devin
touchdown.
could get 9 catches.
Big
I think,
usage.
and that's the same thing. So, I think also I don't know if it was by design, but Lamar Jackson had 16 carries the previous game, the first game.
Mm-hmm.
To I think he only had.
Oh,
I
fewer
forgot what the
runs.
stat was. Fewer runs. I know there were people were like, well, maybe that could have been the problem. But yeah, so this game from 16 carries last week to 5 this past week. So that's a
Okay,
big
maybe some
drop off,
spying. Maybe they
right?
didn't allow Lamar to
So
break down and
yeah,
get those big
45
long
yards on the
runs.
ground. You don't expect that from Lamar Jackson. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Expect like big chunk plays from him running, and the Raiders were able to contain him in that sense. So yeah, that's what they did. I think the pressure that they put on him and just making sure that Mark Andrews going to get open because that's really his favorite target. And they let Zay Flowers eat a little bit, but nothing like down the field, like a touchdown down the field. So
keep it in front of him.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. What a great game versus a top team. The Ravens are one of those surprising 0-2 teams, but I mean,
they're also a team that can come out of nowhere and just be in like Super Bowl contention.
Right. They'll figure it out. They'll be in the playoffs.
They have the better Harbaugh. That's what it is.
Wow. Just look at the record. The Chargers haven't been 2-0 in fucking 12 years, bro. I am on this. Okay, so the Raiders in week 3 play the Panthers, right? I think at Allegiant Stadium. The Panthers lost their first game by 37. They lost their second game by 23.
It could be a trap game.
And you're going against Andy Dalton. Right. How many points will the Raiders win in week 3?
I think it's gonna be 28-14.
Okay, 2 touchdowns. That's not bad. That's not bad. Yeah. Does it, give them some late scores and stuff? That would be cool.
I think because they're gonna come out, and it could happen one of 2 ways. Carolina can come out and try too hard, or they can come out inspired. So I think it's gonna be a little bit of balance of both, but I think ultimately the Raiders still have too much talent versus the Panthers, their roster. So,
are you ready to get excited about the Las Vegas Raiders?
Man, there's nothing you can do to not get me excited. Like,
let me tell you, the next 5 games.
You don't think I'm the
schedule? Home versus the Panthers. Home versus the Browns. At Denver Broncos. Home versus the Steelers. At Los Angeles versus the Rams, which is another home game.
That's all wins. Bro,
the 6-1 Raiders heading into a game versus the Kansas City Chiefs. That's gonna the 6-1 Raiders.
Who also we drew up the I can't even find the word right now. We drew up the blueprint of how to beat the Chargers. I mean we did that too with the 63-point against the Chiefs. We drew up the blueprints on how to beat the Chiefs.
What is the blueprint for beating the Chiefs?
Just to smack the shit out of the Chiefs every chance you get.
The Jordan rules?
The
Jordan rules? You look at that team and you're like, oh yeah, that would be their game plan.
Bro, if we're going through the tunnels and Mahomes, like how the teams meet, if he's out there,
a good game.
If his brother and his wife are in the tunnel too, bro, we're smacking them too, dog.
The whole family can get it. Mahomes Senior, let him out the house.
Bro, we're gonna smack you all game long. You know what I mean?
That's gonna be interesting. And you get that first Chiefs game at Allegiant Stadium in front of your fans. Yeah, that's gonna be Halloween weekend. It's
gonna be cool. The Panthers game is one game that you're gonna be like, you can still get a big win, but every other team, it'll be later into the season where, hopefully for their fans, I know they're hoping that their teams make those adjustments, any trades or any additions to the teams or subtractions. So, they may not look really great now, but by the time the Raiders play them, they could be a little bit better than where they are now. But the hope is the Raiders are too. So.
I can't stop thinking the 6-1 Raiders. That's gonna be.
Well, because just like on the Politicking Network podcast, the recent episode, as Marcus pointed out, in not so many words and not in the finger pointing way, but you are a hater. Like
how to spot a hater, bro. That shit is so funny. The freaking thumbnail for it is just Seppa. Like,
the thumbnail.
It says right across his face, like, how to spot a hater. And it's like,
he's like, those fans, they're always putting you down like in a joking way, but not really.
Are you talking about me? He's like, why you gotta feel guilty?
He's like, well, if you feel guilty, I mean.
That's just so funny.
Hey, shout out to Stephon. He had a bad week. His Niners lost. So, yeah.
It happens.
But yeah, man.
Speaking of the
Oh,
Niners, Christian McCaffrey on injured reserve.
Deebo.
Deebo Samuel recently following him to injured reserve also with a calf injury. Um, for the 49ers, with Christian McCaffrey out, Jordan Mason stepped in. For Deebo Samuel out, what do you think the offense is going to do? Do you think it's to go even more on Jordan Mason? Do you think it's going to transfer over to Brandon Ayuk, who hasn't started out hot? Brandon Ayuk fantasy owners know that. Or George Kittle, Juwan Jennings, the whole thing collapses
Nah.
because there's not enough stars. What do you think happens with the Niners now that Deebo and CMC are out?
Oh, well, first off, again, this is why training camp is important. So if you want to hold out
Okay,
and
Peyton Manning.
right, if you want to hold out and like pretend like you're gonna go to another team, and then finally you decide, oh, actually, you know what, Frisco's probably the place I want to stay. You
Yeah.
wasted the whole offseason playing stupid games. Now you want to come back and you're not where you're supposed to be. But he's a professional, so it won't take too much for him to get to where he's supposed to physically. He'll catch up fast. Yes, Ayuk, I'm talking to you. Hit
Talks
He'll
about wide
bounce back.
receiver like that. He's gonna do okay. Hey, you got this, Brandon.
He is. He is. Uh, he needs some time to get football fit, as they say. So
Damn, he
they'll be
came in like
fine.
Shaq.
Yeah. Yeah. See.
I'll
Yeah.
play. I'll play myself into shape. Come on, hurry up.
Shaq's a big man. You don't have to do as much moving. But Jawan Jennings is, I think, the sleeper for the 49ers. He did great
Okay.
last year in those spots they needed him to when people were missing, and he's never really fallen off. He's always been consistent with his production. So I like Jawan Jennings to take a few catches away from that they're supposed to be sharing now, since Deebo's out, and CMC, who's a great back out of the backfield, that's one of his superpowers, is catching the ball out of the backfield and yards after catch. So Juwan Jennings should be. I think he's gonna get a lot of catches. If you guys own him in fantasy, you guys might want to play him. I think he's gonna get a lot of opportunities. Also, Kittle's had a great first two games, so I think Kittle's is also another person that's gonna really eat until IU can get back to game shape. So Jordan
Uh,
Mason's doing his thing, but we can't expect him to beat CMC. We
right.
gotta let him beat Jordan Mason. We gotta let him run the ball the way he runs. He runs hard. He
Okay.
runs like screw people. So you let Jordan Mason take care of the running game and don't expect too much from him, because again he can't he can't be CMC. No one can. CMC's on a whole nother level of football talent.
Yeah. Yeah. And CMC's calf needs to get right and his Achilles. And it
Yeah,
was interesting that they
that's
put
a
him on
smart move.
injured reserve, but maybe
That's a smart move.
they're thinking, yo, we're good with Jordan Mason. You get right, come back midseason, we'll play you up into shape until we
Right.
get to the playoffs. I don't think many teams could lose their RB1 and their wide receiver one and
And still
not
be cool.
suffer an immediate, not just be cool,
Like
but like
yeah,
everything falls apart, throw your freaking season away. The quarterback,
yeah,
I mean, you might have a quarterback that's able to get it to no names, guys seemingly off the street or practice
right,
squad.
right.
And that might be able to work for Brock Purdy, but it just feels like they've lost so much that the defense can now focus in, right? They can focus in
True.
on Kittle over the middle. They can focus in on whatever side IU sits on. So that might be the case for Jawan Jennings going off. They're not really
Right.
paying attention to him as much because they're focusing on staying close to the line, containing Kittle, locking down IU. Now Jawan Jennings is
Trying to
wide
put
open on
pressure
like
on Purdy.
he's on
Yeah,
their quarterback three or their cornerback three or something getting
yeah.
open. I wanted to say that this would not affect Jordan Mason because he's already filling in for CMC, but Deebo is that special out of the backfield player who gets a lot of handoffs too. So
Right.
maybe Jordan Mason gets a couple more carries, but it might be it might behoove you to add the whatever running back three, whoever that is for the Niners, because they might be getting some work. And if anything happens to Jordan Mason, then
I'm pretty
somebody
sure
else
they
has to
get for
step up.
like 6 or 7 points at least.
Yeah. So you might not be able to use them if you pick up the Niners back up to Mason, but if anything happens to Mason, they
Right.
immediately become
The
the best
RB1.
running games, main
Yeah.
tool. Kittle and Ayuk, I think, are going to be the main beneficiaries just in an increase in opportunities, but I'm not sure if any of them can fill that speed that
Deebo.
Deebo doesn't look fast, right? But he
You know
just
what?
finds a way to wiggle through and
It's because
find
he's
the
big. He's so big. It's
oh,
like
okay. They're
you're
like,
looking at him, you're like, there's no way. But yeah,
all right,
right.
wait.
We were talking about that with who does Gasecki play for now? Oh
He
man,
was with the that one's
he was
tough.
with the Dolphins. Did he go to the Patriots?
I think
He
he
went.
went to the Patriots after the Dolphins, but he's somewhere else now.
Okay, but he went somewhere, and me and my sister were watching him.
Cincinnati?
He caught. I think it is Cincinnati. I might have been the game you're watching against the Chiefs, but he caught a ball and he starts running. It looks like he's jogging, but he's he's so tall and lengthy that his strides are like he's getting past people. You know, people are trying to get an angle on him,
Okay, okay.
but they can't because he's like the amount of space he's taking as he's like looks like he's jogging is so much that he's getting a step on people just because of that. And I think Deebo's like that too. He's a bigger guy, so it doesn't look like he's like super fast, but yeah, he's a bigger dude. Same thing, I
Uh,
think.
and if he's more up close to the line, so maybe that's more Kittle territory.
For
If
sure.
if it's like getting down the sideline, that's definitely more IU territory.
Yeah,
But it's going to be interesting to watch and see exactly how the 49ers adjust to losing their top two offensive playmakers.
man. Shout out to Dominic Pooney, who is killing on that line
Bro,
as a rookie.
as a
He's
rookie, just stepping in.
he is
Nice.
smacking the shit out of people on that line. So shout out to him. Drafted out of Kansas. Man, good for you, Dominic Pooney. Good for you.
Yeah. Shout out to the Niners. Niner fans, let us know what you think is going to happen with your offense. I'm low key thinking it might fall apart. I'm just like, if you lock in on Ayuk, lock in on, try to contain Kittle. He's more like a big run blocker, but also he can catch. But I feel
It's
like
true.
that's going to be tough. That's like,
I'm the very opposite. I think with Deebo down and CMC out, kind of makes it easier for Purdy to pick who he wants to go to now because now he doesn't he doesn't really have to share the ball with too many people. Now he can really just pick the guys he wants to go to and not worry about like trying to feed everybody on the field.
I was texting with Luke earlier, and I asked him specifically about this situation. And now that Deebo is out, because I
Yeah.
have Brandon Ayuk and I'm trying to trade him to him, I was like, "Oh, what's up, Brandon Ayuk? Deebo just went out. They're gonna feed him." But I asked him, I was like, "But what do you think is gonna happen with the Niners situation?" He said, "I don't think they crumble." Too well coached and lots of talented guys playing behind those big names. Mason for sure blows up, and I also think Brandon blows up too. Brandon. Okay, so he's got Ayuk and Jordan Mason. So
But he still won't trade for Brandon.
I'm saying I'm like, here, you can take Brandon Ayuk because I'd rather keep Devontae Adams. But I have Devontae Adams and Brandon Ayuk, but I put I sat Devontae Adams last week.
That's fucking
My second round pick. I sat him because I was such
a Charger fan.
Exactly. I was such a hater in my mind about Minshew. Minshew, the only quarterback to throw for 250 or more yards in both games. The only quarterback in the NFL to do that. I was so in my head about how Gaia Minshew is that I was like, he only got Devontae 6 targets. This is BS. He's not going to throw to him. He doesn't know how to throw to him. And then Devontae puts in a 25-point game with like a toe tap catch of the year already. I think it was like a 6.3 probability catch. The lowest probability catch that of like a long time.
Serves you right for doubting the stats, buddy.
It's my fault. I did score more points by putting in Chris Godwin, but I lost the game by like 17 when Brandon Ayuk only put up like 8. So I'm like, Brandon Ayuk, get out of here. Devontae Adams, I'm sorry. Please, Devontae. Please.
Please help me.
Please come back. Fantasy's a trip. It's fun though. It's fun to find out what you were wrong about. I was wrong about the Zay Flowers only being involved if the Ravens were. Oh well, actually they were trailing. They were trailing the Raiders, so they had to throw it to him a bunch.
Yeah.
I was wrong about Derek Carr. on the Polyticken Patreon. Someone was like, Derek Carr is cool. The Raiders, like, their offense fell apart after he left. And I was like, Derek Carr is Derek Carr, okay? We know who they are. You want to crown his ass? Crown his ass. But Derek Carr's been freaking on fire the first 2 days.
Who they played?
Exactly. Oh, wait, actually. The first game, the Saints played the Panthers, right? Rivalry game, but Bryce Young. The second game, I was like, Derek Carr's ass is coming back down to earth versus Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys. They put up 44 points on the Cowboys.
Micah Parsons is only one part of that defense. Their corners aren't very good.
Trayvon Diggs, Deron Bland, aren't they like the guys that are...
Trayvon Diggs gets a lot of interceptions because he takes a lot of chances. But he's not that great at the corner. Yeah, he's not that great. I'm telling you. And I'm not just saying that. I like Derek Carr, and I'm happy that he's doing well there. But he's still not a mobile quarterback. He's not a mobile quarterback at all.
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the statistics, okay? Derek Carr. Derek Carr this year, 77% completion through 2 games. 2.5 touchdowns per game. 96.2 quarterback rating. Derek Carr over his career, 65% completion rate, 1.4 touchdowns per game, and like a 50. I think he topped out at like 60 QBR once was his high.
That sounds about right.
So he's definitely performing way above what I think it is. Like his percentage to what he's throwing now compared to what he usually is like the difference between Drew Brees and Vinny Testaverde. It's 12%. So Drew Brees leads the all-time NFL. It's like 68% career completion rate. It goes way down to like regular Derek Carr level. So I think what's happening is they had some favorable matchups. I didn't think so with the Cowboys, but I don't know. Is this a career resurgence for Derek Carr? I don't think so. I think he had 2 good games, and it's going to go back to DC4 levels here.
For sure. He had great games with the Raiders. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get statistics, but he's one of those guys that you could also, like, he was one of those guys that in a late game, you still had confidence that he could win that game.
Yes. Since 2015, Derek Carr leads the league in touchdown passes, in the go-ahead touchdown passes in the final minute or overtime with 8. Kirk Cousins just got to 6 with that win versus the Eagles. Yeah. But Derek Carr is the name that's at the top of that list since the last 10 years.
He's very emotional. And I think that also speaks to like in late games when he's playing, like, he's really gonna want to win that game. And I think that carries on. And then, like, again, just like other quarterbacks, when you're early in the game and you're not doing well, it gets to you. And I think him being so emotional, like, he takes that harder than other quarterbacks, and I think sometimes it brings him down. So, like, you'll hear a lot of people refer to like quicksand in sports. Like, if you get in there, you do something wrong, your first initial reaction is to do something right again. So now you're trying
something so crazy to try to fix it.
Right. So now you're struggling. Yeah. But the more you struggle to fix it, the deeper you sink into the quicksands. And I think that's Derek Carr's problem. Like, he gets so deep into like a problem or like behind in the game that he'd start forcing things. But the thing about Derek Carr is he's not that mobile quarterback. People are going to say, well, we've seen him run for like 40 yards. Yes. When he's like a straightaway run, you know what I mean?
Breaks one run, big run.
Right. Yeah. And of course, he's got some wheels on him. He's athletic enough to probably run like a 4.6, 4.7 for a quarterback. That's pretty fast. But as far as like escapability, he's pretty unreliable in that department. Like, he's susceptible if he's in the back too long, like, and he'll sit in the pocket for so long that it'll cut, like, his linemen will start hitting him, because he's just sitting in that pocket, and even though they form the pocket for long enough, it'll collapse on him because he's waited too long. But you have to take into consideration the teams that he played these first 2 games, the Panthers being one, and then coming in playing against Dallas's defense, who, like I said, their corners are mediocre. They're not great. And if you can kind of contain Michael Parsons with the pressure, then it's hard for the corners to do what they do. Like they're really good at when Michael Parsons is pressuring people, or they've got the
Okay.
other young defensive end who gives pressure too. So if those two are working like real hard in the game to get pressure or like disrupt the quarterback play, then the corners can they look amazing, obviously. But yeah, the Dallas defense mediocre.
Uh, Maybe the Saints added like a offensive tackle recently that helped change the game.
And then I really want to say we should have drafted him, but we took
Uh,
Brock Bowers instead, and it's working out pretty well right now.
it's like we're good. Yeah,
But
that's
yes, Taliesin Fuala, man, big play for those guys. He's just a man amongst boys. I mean, just Molly, as the kids say these days, molly whopping tackles out there, just putting him to the ground. He's good against the run. He's upfield on those things. There's not very many times that you look over and he's getting beat or he's on the ground until I don't think I've ever seen him on the ground yet. So, but yeah, that was a really great pickup.
they had I think it was a game time decision with a back injury, but he played through it, and that's like getting points from his team, and they're really seeing he's tough and he's going to put it down.
If you guys are questioning Tua about why he wants to come play, that is exactly why. Speaks to our coach. No, I'm not gonna be one of those guys. It's because he's Samoan.
Samoa!
We're built to play this sport, man. No.
Yeah.
If he's
you
hurt,
need
hurt.
poor people who need the money to be so good. It's us. We love this game.
There's too many Falabelavas, okay? We need all the money we get.
Come on, support. If you guys knew about it, you'd know about it. Yeah, that's just a few of the stories from week 2, definitely with the Chargers and the Raiders, which we will always hit each week.
Injuries, of course, if there's so
many
substantial
injuries
ones,
this week.
yeah.
It's so crazy.
And it's not just like passing fans, just like these dudes that you see that play every now and then. No, it's hitting guys who teams are going to count on to win games. Like Cup's out.
Yeah.
Cooper Cup's gone for a little bit.
That's crazy. What's going to happen with the Rams offense? What's going to happen with the Niners offense? What's going to happen, now that Andy Dalton
might
is
be out
stepping in?
too, another game. So
yeah, Achane, Jalen Wright, Jeff Wilson Jr. There are so many different questions. If you have anything specific or any certain matchup or rankings that you're having a problem with, definitely hit our DMs. Let us know. If you need somebody to yell at for getting the start sit information right or wrong, definitely hit us up. We'll give you unbiased.
If you have a Raider on your roster, you better start him this week.
Okay.
I don't care.
I'll give you unbiased fantasy.
Bro, they're playing the Panthers.
Hit us up.
They are playing the Panthers.
Oh. Okay, so who's going to be the highest scoring Raider in week 3?
Devontae Adams. Adams.
What Zamir White, Alexander Madison, kind of sneakiness? You see,
I think maybe Madison. Game, I like Madison. Not even the running game. I like Madison out of the backfield catching.
Okay, I think but they're going to be running the ball after they take a 20-point lead.
No,
so maybe
we don't really care. Like we don't.
No, we're the Raiders.
Right. I think Antonio Pierce was like looked over at Getz like, bro, you've been saving these plays for what 6 quarters? You now want to call them as we're down in like the 3rd quarter? Where has this been? So yeah, I think until the running game they can be confident in the running game. I think you're going to see a lot of downfield stuff. I think Bowers comes up with another big game. I think Michael Mayer is going to be good in this game too. I think they're going to run those two a lot. And then Devontae's going to do what he does all the time. Tucker's pretty cool. You can throw a lot of like.
Explain the Raiders again. He's like, oh, hey, Tucker's going to score.
It's not my fault. You guys just give the ball to J.K. Dobbins all the time.
But you got one guy that does that. Hey, come on. Get back out there. Don't hurt yourself. I said don't hurt yourself. Damn it. It's going to happen. It's injury season. Hey, thoughts and prayers for all of the NFL players out there, okay?
Amen.
And also shout out to, again, to our cousin Tua Tagovailoa.
Oh, for sure. That's
hopefully all the
that's
good news and everything. You can continue to play and follow your passions. If it is a difficult decision, hoping God and your family and gives you peace of mind, and you can really figure everything out.
right.
And
More
make it.
life to you, brother.
Yeah, but
Hit us up. You can join the Ballinesian podcast. We can do some things.
yeah.
Come on,
Hop
man.
on.
Come on. We can
Yeah,
do some things,
sure.
man.
Oh,
You
that
know what
would
I
be
mean?
amazing.
Hey,
Yeah, we want definitely want the best for the
for sure.
health of the two of them. So
For sure.
And before we close out, any shout outs, any any highs, or big plugs you got?
You know, every time I have them, like every time we come on together, we look at each other, we're like, they were shot there. We look at each other like, damn, I could have swore I had like 3 or 4.
I had 3 of these written down in my mind, but we've just talked about football for an hour and a
Hey,
half.
you know what? I forgot to do it last week, but shout out to Frankie Louie. Just had his first child.
Yeah,
My son
yeah.
had a boy.
Nice. Congrats. More life?
Amazing. More life. More life to him. To the mother of his child, his girlfriend. Yeah, shout out to those guys. Shout out to my pops, who you can hear pass behind me right now.
What up, Pop?
Yeah, he's doing good. Shout out to my mom. She's got the hospital. She's feeling great. You know what I mean?
Good.
So
Good.
yeah, and shout out to my dog Sumo, who's looking at me like, bro, told me you were gonna feed me like 2 hours ago.
You keep
Now I'm
looking
over
at
here.
that screen.
Right. You keep talking about that shitty team that you cheer for every year. And so just shout out to you, Sumo. I got you.
So, this is what we do. Nice. Yeah, man. Shout out to our sponsor, Livasa Island Apparel, www.livasaislandapparel.com. Or you can check them out on Instagram at le_Vasa. Shout out to Jim Harbaugh. Shout out to everybody that beat me in fantasy this week. I went 1-3. Shout out to the golfers out there. Man, I think me and Noah are gonna start making some golf content.
I'm telling you, bro. That's what. Hey, Brown Boys Golf Club.
Yeah, I love it. If people want you to shoot their families like Christmas photos for a card,
for sure.
What is the information contact? Yeah,
hit me on Instagram at Village Kids Media on IG, or you can hit my personal IG, which is _EST Doldalao, DULDUOAO on Instagram, or you can find me on what is the one
streets.
That everybody says that? Oh no, you cannot find me there. I'm way too old right now. Facebook. I was like, the social media for old people. You can find me on you can find me on Facebook. Definitely, if you guys need pictures taken for the holidays, if you guys need pictures taken for a wedding, birthday, graduation. But since we are about to hit that holiday season, Halloween is one. I was able to, when I first started out, I took pictures with Lance and Nora and Sammy, with my nieces and some people. So yeah, like if you guys do have an event, you guys need a photographer, please let me know. Reach out to me again on Instagram at Village Kids Media on Instagram, or you can catch me on Facebook at Forrest Odla. You can look me up. I'm there. Or just hit us up on the Ballinesian, because it's we're connected.
Yeah. If you're listening to this and you need some family photos done in the PNW, just hit our line. And we'll connect you with Forrest right away.
For sure.
Yeah, that's I think that's all we got for this week. Appreciate you for being on, talking Raiders always. Thank you guys for listening. Yeah, we're gonna be back next week. Definitely follow us on our social medias, mainly Instagram at Ballinesian, or follow us on all the platforms
that you can listen to podcasts on.
Yeah. I was like, what are the words? Here they are. Thank you for listening. Appreciate you guys. Go out, live your lives. Stay hydrated, stay blessed, stay ballin'. Love and light. Peace.
Go Raiders.
Ah!